we are, Tuesday night. We got Jake, Jon, special guest Carlos Morales of the Milwaukee Brewers. And we're going to talk a lot of things tonight. We're going to talk some bad officiating, some NFL, some baseball, and how soon Jon gets started a pool. But let's get right down to it. Let's start with our guest. Carlos, welcome to the show tonight. How you doing, man?
Thank you. I'm doing good. Thank you guys for having me.
So you're in the Brewers organization, right?
Yes.
Okay. So what's your prognosis right now? Where are you set to play come at the beginning of the year?
Beginning of the year. Well, I started the year off last year in high A, but the goal is to start in double A this year and then in triple A. But we'll see how spring training goes. See if they send me back to high and then move to double A. But right now it's up in the air, so we'll see.
Okay.
Very cool. So what's your greatest asset that you could bring to the Brewers?
My hard work, dedication. I mean, I go 110% every single time, so that's something that I know a lot of teams look for. So, yeah.
And when you were playing in high A, right, last year, and was that your first year in the minors?
No, this is actually my 6th year. Yeah. This is going to be this year. This year is going to be my 6th year. Last year was my 5th. I got drafted out of high school, so I've been in the organization for.
There you go.
Yeah.
And you've been with the Brewers the whole time?
I have, yes. I've been with them all 6 years, yes.
Very
Nice.
cool.
So,
and
I was going to say, I mean, the Brewers organization, at the top level has had some great pitching as of recently. Just, is there anything that, maybe through a rehab assignment, you kind of got to talk to those guys, or just, maybe by proxy, somebody knew somebody up there, have you learned anything from those guys, even if it's maybe just watching them, the way they play?
So I was rehabbing for a couple of years. I didn't get to talk to any of the big league guys, but I mean, what I can take from them and how they go about their business is trusting the process. There's going to be days where, you're feeling down, but you can't let that take a toll on you because it will mess with you mentally. You just gotta keep a tunnel vision through it all. So,
okay,
yeah.
Is that something that kind of you learned also through the fact that you had to rehab for the time that you did? Like, is that something that you kind of learned through that process, along with the fact that just playing the game? I'm sure you've learned that.
Oh yeah, 100%. I mean, it was a difficult time rehabbing. There's times where I was doubting myself a lot, but I had to keep a good head on my shoulders and be like, you know what, this is everything happens for a reason. I believe so. This happened for a good cause. I feel like I learned something rehabbing. You got to take your routine serious and all that. So that it was a good cause, but everything definitely happens for a reason.
Sure. And real quick, before I turn it over to the other two, just, you said you were drafted straight out of high school. Obviously some guys may say, hey, that's the route for me. And some others say, I want to go to college and I want to do that. Can you just, talk about maybe the process and what you were thinking and why you said, okay, straight out of high school, this is where I'm ready to go, and let's go do that, as opposed to some people saying, let's go to college and get drafted from there?
I always bet on myself. I knew coming straight out of high school, I wanted to go the professional route. I felt like I was ready, but then again, if you go to college, they do build you up really good. But I took a chance, and I'm blessed to where I'm at. But I definitely bet on myself always. I felt like I was ready. I felt like I had the stuff to be up with the professionals. So definitely, yeah, I wanted to take the professional route.
That's a good mentality to have, certainly.
Who
So,
do you? Oh, sorry, John. Go ahead.
yeah, it's okay. So I was looking at your stats, and when you first started out, your ERA was higher, like when you
Oh
first
yeah.
started out, and then like it doesn't make sense because like typically, you're moving up to face the better hitters, and your ERA's gotten better, which is just amazing. Like that you're facing better hitters and your ERA's gotten better because it was like 10, then it was 5, it was floating around there, and then you're just like, guess what? My ERA's in the ones. Hey, guess what? My ERA's in the twos. And now I have a 2.35 ERA in 2022. Like, that's really, really good. In minor leagues, like typically you don't see that type of ERA from pitchers. You know what I mean? Like
Right, right.
unless it's like the number one prospect, you don't typically see that ERA. And so, like, how have you been able to do that, lowering your ERA to such an amazing number? Because I'm a guy that loves pitching, and to see a 2.35 ERA from a minor leaguer, I mean, I would have to imagine, like you were saying, you're going to probably end up going to Double A and then hopefully Triple A this year. How have you been able to do that, going from where you were at, like the tens to fives, and then just like did a switch come on, or did you learn a new pitch that really helped you out? Like, how have you been able to make such an amazing transition?
Um, Honestly, a lot of it was confidence. I've always been confident, but after the COVID year, I kind of like just hit a switch. I was like, hey, this is either you make it or you don't. So I worked my butt off all COVID year going into the year 2022. And it was just like a click. It clicked for me. Everything clicked for me. I was working my butt off, throwing. I would really take my throwing program really serious. I feel like the few first years of Pro Bowl, I really wasn't doing that. I was just going up there and just throwing without having an exact plan. So this year I really locked it in and yeah, like it came with great results.
And
And who do
I've
you?
noticed your whip is going down too. Like your whip is really good
That's
too.
yeah.
Actually, that's the
That's
thing
the
that
big stat.
that's the big stat. I mean, I know ERA is
Yeah.
important, but the whip 1.3, that's tremendous. Like, when people see whip and it's that low, it's like, okay, this guy's got a really good ERA. He's got a really good whip. And clearly in your career, I mean, if you go by your stats, if you throw an entire MLB season, you're on pace for almost 300 strikeouts for an entire MLB season. That's amazing. So you clearly know how to
Yeah.
strike them out too. So I mean, you got a really nice resume, and hopefully, the Brewers continue to move you up because you seem like a fantastic prospect.
Thank you,
So
thank
who do
you.
you
No,
model
yeah,
your? Who do you model yourself after? Who did you emulate as you started pitching?
uh myself.
I
I'm one
like
of a
that.
kind, man. Yeah. I'm one of a kind. I really don't get me wrong, I do have people that I do look up to. Julio Urias, Clayton Kershaw, all those lefties, but I feel like I'm in my own little world right now. The pitches that I have are super unique, I would say. I mean, there's a few out there that have the exact numbers on pitch movement and all that, but I feel like I'm just in my own little world right now. I feel really confident this year, so myself.
So what's more exciting to you when you strike somebody out, or when somebody on defense makes a great play to help you out?
Uh Both, both. I mean, who doesn't love striking people out? But definitely, I mean, if I'm in trouble and someone makes a tremendous play, I'll be fist pumping and screaming, let's go. But that's a tough one. Um, I think I would have to go with someone making a good play, just because I know they have my back. So it's pretty cool knowing that they have my back out there.
Yeah. So, you're talking about your pitches are unique, things like that. What what pitches in particular? What can you tell us about those pitches? What makes them unique? What's going on with them? I want to know. Want to know more?
Yeah, so I had just last year I actually started throwing a two seam, and I was throwing it, and they were telling me like, "Hey, the movement on the ball moves a lot. Like it's ridiculous on how much it moves." I never noticed that. So I saw the numbers on like the TrackMan. I don't know if you guys are familiar with TrackMan and stuff, but I was looking at it and I was like, "Oh shoot, like that's pretty good." I think my slider, my sinker two seam, whatever you want to call it, are my go-to pitches right now, just because they both move opposite ways and they move a lot. So yeah, it's
Very cool.
it's pretty cool.
I love it.
So you would,
I love it.
You had mentioned rehab and getting stronger. How difficult is it, when you're a baseball player and you're rehabbing and you're away from the whole team? Because a baseball team's a large group. There's 20-something guys all together, plus coaches and everything. So when you're rehabbing, you're almost by yourself. How difficult is it to put the work in and to motivate yourself in that situation?
Oh man, it's difficult. There was definitely some days where I was, questioning my career, but like I said, I had a tunnel vision. There was some hard days, don't get me wrong, but my dad has prepared me mentally for that. He told me, there's gonna be days where you feel like giving up, but that's not what I taught you to do. You never give up on yourself and you always push forward. But there's definitely some hard days there. And I would pray every single day, just hoping to get better, and sure enough.
Yeah. All right. Well, before we let you go, I have one more question I've got to ask. Since you're a pitcher, this is a question I always think is fun to ask pitchers. Past, present, wherever. If you could strike out one guy, who would it be and why? Anybody.
Oh man. Shoot.
You gotta choose just one though.
Let me see.
That's a great question. I'm glad I wrote it for you.
That
Were you thinking the same thing?
I passed it, the paper right across the to the top.
Perfect.
Shoot. Let me see. Oh man, that's a difficult one. They could be anybody, big leaguers.
Anybody ever.
Just not anywhere else.
Could be somebody that played years ago.
It could
Could
be
be somebody playing now.
literally anybody ever.
Um,
And I'm just curious why as well.
Preferably not anywhere else.
Probably Barry Bonds. Just
Yeah.
I like it.
just because I would want to see what he can do against my pitching. I
respect
this
that.
year I had a really good outcome against lefties that I faced this year. I mean, the numbers were unreal. So I would want to see how my stuff would play against him.
All right, I like it.
This is the Joe Burrow of the minor
Jon,
leagues.
shut up.
He's cool as a cucumber, man. He's
all right, okay. If that's what you mean, then okay.
Yeah.
Okay. All right.
Yeah.
I take back my comment.
He's like, man, I don't care who you are.
I like
Take
that.
you on.
Yes,
Doesn't
yes.
matter.
No, yeah, 100%. That's the mentality you gotta have, man.
And I'll see you on the Orioles in a couple of years when you're in free agency, and you come to Baltimore and I cover the team. Bam, it'll work out perfectly. I'll see you in a couple of years.
Sweet.
JB, you have any other questions?
No, I think you hit that last question. I think is the way I love that.
That's what I do. All right. Well, Carlos, thank you so much for coming on.
Yeah,
We really
thank you,
appreciate
sir.
it.
You're welcome
Definitely.
back
Thank you
anytime.
guys. Thank you guys for having me. I appreciate it.
No problem.
Well, we look forward to seeing you. Hopefully, towards the end of the summer in Milwaukee. Maybe you come down to Wrigley, or come to New York.
Come to
or
New York,
Washington.
If you come to Baltimore, I'll say hi.
We'll be the
wants to come to
first
Baltimore,
to
John.
go get tickets or credentials for that game so we can watch it.
Hell
No,
yeah.
definitely. I thank you guys again for having me.
No
Yeah,
problem.
best
Have a
of
good one,
luck, man.
Carlos.
Best of
Thank you.
luck, man.
Thank you.
All right,
Thank you. I
gentlemen.
appreciate it.
You're welcome.
All right, see you, Carlos.
With that, JB, I told you before the show started, there's something we have to talk about. And as New Yorkers, this is going to bother us both more than anybody. Now, first of all, we will discuss the AFC and NFC championship game. And I first, unfortunately, have to say congratulations to the Eagles. And fortunately, congratulations to, honestly, whoever would have won the Bengals-Chiefs game, I didn't care. So congratulations to the Chiefs, but I was cool with whoever won. JB, I'm sure you didn't because you don't pay attention to these things like I do. But did you see what the Empire State Building posted the other day, or what they did?
Oh, my Lord.
Oh, and look who's
First
in
of
the
all-
comment section to rub it in.
Of course, he
Perfect
is.
timing.
I
You
put
did
it
see
on
it.
my Facebook. One of my friends sent
Mhm.
it to me. Listen, somebody at the Empire State Building lost their job.
Oh, I think multiple
Morning.
people got fired for that one.
The mayor of New York City got asked a question during his briefing Monday morning. When the mayor of the biggest city of our country gets asked about colors of the Empire State Building,
That's how you know it's bad.
Yeah.
it's bad, folks.
Oh, boy.
It's bad. You know,
Look,
go Chiefs red.
honestly, if you're going to support somebody, support the Chiefs. But
What if the person that did it to the Empire State
it doesn't
Building,
matter.
what if they're an Eagles fan?
I don't care. John, let me
Go back
put
to Philly.
let me put it to you like this, John. Somebody made a comment, or I saw it somewhere. That would be like the Empire State Building lighting up red and white for the Red Sox winning the World Series. That would be one of the most. It's just egregious. You just don't. It's disgusting.
Or like
It's
lighting up
egregious.
Cowboys colors.
Absolutely, it's exactly the same thing, John. And so
Should be illegal.
it should be. Whoever, not only the person that did it, should they be fired, but I think they should be arrested for their decision, because
That's fair.
that is a crime against all New Yorkers. Look,
Fair.
it's great that the Eagles won. Good for them. I may not like it as a Giants fan, but it doesn't matter. That's not here nor there. That's not the point of this. But there has to be a level of common sense and logic to not light up one of the most prominent buildings in all of the world, and most importantly, probably the most prominent building in all of New York City, green and white. I cannot imagine who thought that was a good idea. And then they posted it on their Instagram, which to me didn't make it any better. They posted it all over social
Well,
media.
it was going to get posted by somebody. Somebody was going to shout that out.
But they were so proud to say, oh, congratulations to the Eagles. How do you think that's acceptable is what I don't understand. There are few colors that the Empire State Building should ever be. They should be blue. They should be white. They should be red. They should be orange. And that is almost that's pretty much all the colors, because that encompasses all New York teams. You know, green and white is acceptable for the Jets, and that's the only time green and white would be acceptable, because they are considered.
But
a
the
New
Jets
York team
would have had
despite
to have
playing.
done something. You know what I mean?
That's fine. But I'm just
You know what I
saying,
mean? Like
there are
if
certain colors that the Empire State Building is allowed to be. I named the Knicks colors. I named, even Devils colors would be acceptable, which is why I said red and white. I said
Islanders don't count.
but even if they did the Islanders, that would be okay. I named Knicks colors, Nets colors. I don't think they would do like black and white. That's just kind of that might be kind of hard to see. That's the only problem with that. Otherwise, I would be cool with that. Those are all New York teams.
But none of those teams are winning championships, so it doesn't matter.
But it doesn't matter. But you picked a Philly team. That's just unbelievably ignorant and stupid and truly asinine. And I had to
represents
say
the
something.
city well.
No,
I have nothing more to
no,
say.
no.
I just needed to say that.
Just
because
so
I
we're
I saw it and
clear,
was so disgusted. I was truly in shock that somebody could be so stupid and make such a dumb decision.
just so we're clear, I'm not congratulating the Chiefs. I'm not congratulating the Eagles, because guess what? You know what? I hate all 31 of you. The only one I care about is the Dolphins. Everybody else, I hate you. It's us versus 31 teams. Jake, it should be.
I don't want to talk. I don't want to hear what he has to say. He's just talking about his Dolphins.
Hold on.
And it doesn't
You
matter.
should not congratulate the Eagles. That is your rival. Don't congratulate them. Don't give them any props.
I'm not, John. I'm not
That's-
congratulating them as a Giants fan. I'm congratulating them as a journalist, because that's what a
Just
journalist does.
Don't congratulate them. Don't
John,
encourage them.
John, I had
Like
journalistic
encouraging
integrity.
those dirty fans that they have in their city. Don't
John,
encourage them.
John, I know they're dirty.
They have to
I know.
grease the light poles for a reason.
John,
because all the homeless
John,
people, and there's a lot of them in Philly, just can't stop climbing the poles in Philly. Like,
John, I
so
have relatives that are Eagles fans. I know
sorry.
I'm sorry too. I'm sorry too, because you know what's going to happen? They're going to get the butt whooped by the Chiefs. But
I hope not.
I hope
so. Not.
Why would you
listen?
Oh, look, I didn't like the way the Chiefs went about their business.
Okay,
after
let's
the
talk
game.
about that.
I did not like that.
No, let's talk about that. Why did you not like it, John? Let's hear this.
I didn't like what Travis Kelce said.
Why? Hold on. Why?
I did not enjoy it at
Why?
all. I just thought it was classless and trashy.
Hold on.
I didn't like
let me ask you something, John. Did you think the mayor of Cincinnati calling out the Bengals?
I thought that was stupid.
You think that was classless?
Why would that's dumb? Why would you give bulletin board material?
Did you think that he said that on this day, whatever day it was, that they should have Patrick Mahomes take a paternity test to see if Joe Burrow is his father?
So dumb.
It seems that he owns him. Do you think that was classless? Because what Travis Kelce did, I think, was one of the greatest retorts ever.
I didn't like
because
it.
He spoke only at the correct time.
I did not like it.
After he won the game. And he called him
I'm sorry. I'm sorry.
Rex Ryan did that to the Patriots.
Stop.
And he got his ass kicked by the Patriots.
I love this. There's a rivalry brewing. I hope this continues for 4 or 5 years because
I think this is the next Brady and Manning. I mean,
and it's more fun than Brady and Manning because they're going at it.
I know.
I agree. Brady and Manning was like, ooh, he played a great game. He beat us. Great job.
Peyton Manning was too nice. Peyton's such a nice guy.
There's some heat behind this. And
I love it.
I like the heat. I just don't like the classlessness of Travis Kelce.
What's classless
I felt like that
about
was classy.
Why?
He lost some class. Lost some respect for him.
Well,
for
John,
doing that.
You and I are very different people, apparently, because I think JB would agree. If anything, I gained more respect.
Look, I did not like it when the Richard Shermans of the world went out and ran their lips against the Niners when they beat Crabtree and Kaepernick and that team. I didn't like that.
You mean that star receiver? That's Crabtree.
I did not like that rant. I did not enjoy it. I thought it was tasteless as well. So
why?
I just didn't enjoy it.
Because you don't like it?
No, it just felt like bleh, like
no, I don't. Because I sat there listening to Travis Kelce and I was pissing my pants because I thought this was the greatest, some of the best comments. They were so.
Meanwhile, you have Jalen Hurts on the other side, just classy as anything. And Patrick Mahomes and Travis Kelce don't even know how to be classy. It's not in the dictionary.
Time out. I want to ask you something because I think you're comparing apples to oranges and you don't realize it. What did the Niners say? How much did they trash talk? Just don't try to explain. Just how much did they trash talk?
Did they trash talk?
Exactly. The fact that you have to think, did they trash talk is my point. Now let me ask you, how much did the Bengals, their fans, their mayor, just the Bengals as a whole, the entity that is the Bengals and everything. Exactly.
But I'm always of the mindset don't give bulletin board material right before a playoff
I agree.
game.
But my point is, you're saying, the Eagles are being classy. No, John.
I said Jalen Hurts is classy.
I know, but what I'm saying to you is there wasn't bulletin board material. There wasn't anything to respond to. So what is he going to say? There's only so much he could say in a game that we'll talk about in a minute that featured like a third string and a fourth string quarterback.
He could have bragged.
There wasn't anything to be said. In Travis Kelce's
case,
about his business. In Travis Kelce's case, he had every right to say what he said. Why? Because the mayor.
Stop for 1 second, too. Not only that, had it been a blowout like the Eagles game, you really talk a lot. When the game comes down to the last minute, there's a lot of emotions. You're feeling it. Everything is magnified. So when the game's over, you're going to speak and you're going to say things. I don't think there's anything wrong. It's all in fun. These guys
I just didn't like it. I didn't say it. May not be wrong, may not be right. Don't know, but I didn't personally care for it.
I gained immense respect for Travis Kelce in that moment.
Listen.
To be fair, this guy over here had Travis Kelce in fantasy, and this guy over here had Patrick Mahomes in fantasy. So, of course, you two have a little bit of love for those two guys. Like,
I've
a
also
little bit of love for those two guys.
And I'm all for Burrow talking too. Listen,
And you
I
had
was going to
Burrow,
say,
too.
JB had Burrow on his
as well.
fantasy team. So don't act like he didn't like Burrow. He liked both guys.
Yes. Listen, I'm all for it, man, because they went out there and they backed it up. He may have lost.
It was a
but he played
great
the
game.
Burrow was bad that
Listen,
game.
I read an article
Burrow
on
was
USA
really
Today how his 2 interceptions cost the game. He threw 1 interception. The second interception was a punt. So if you're writing on that game,
I
and
agreed
you're
with that
play
assessment.
with 2 interceptions. You know, you take your credentials away, take your writing away. You've lost the right to write. I believe it was a USA Today reporter.
That second interception is the equivalent to a punt. You're right. Because it was on third down.
It's
and
like,
how deep it went. What is the difference?
It's
What's
like
the
throwing a
difference?
Hail Mary at the end of the half and getting a pick, and somebody's like, "Oh, he threw a pick today."
It's
but
you might as well punt it. You're right.
Yeah.
And it was equivalent to a punt. I was like, okay. And as soon as it happened, that's what I said.
Was it good? No.
Pitcher gives up an unearned run. You're like, man, that guy gave up a run. It's like, yeah, well, I mean,
That's why, and the one thing I will say that I don't like about that play call, to me at least, I don't remember the time on the clock, but I don't recall that the time on the clock was an issue in terms of like there wasn't.
It was third down.
But no, there weren't like 5 seconds left where they needed to go deep because they needed.
No, it was third and long though.
Right, but I don't like that super deep shot.
It's what the Bengals do, though.
No, it's the same thing the Bills do. I don't like it.
Yeah.
It's why I like the way the Chiefs and the Eagles play, and actually the Niners as well. Of the 4 remaining teams,
you guys do that too. Giants do it too.
But I'm just talking about the 4 remaining teams.
Yeah.
I like the way they play because the Bills on 3rd and 3 will go for 45 yards, and it's like that's great if you get it.
Yep.
But you don't need it. You need a couple of yards.
Yep.
Now, the Bengals, to their credit, I can understand a little bit more why they went for the deep shot because they did have a longer field to go. They in terms of to get the first down. So I can understand it a little bit more because I don't think that they were thinking, let's get 5 yards for the punt. They don't care. They're get the first down or don't.
Okay.
But just the general play of on 3rd down, teams do that where they go for 25 yards. Even if you get it 1 out of every 5 plays, to me, it's not worth it. To me, it's get the couple of yards and just keep the drive going, keep the momentum. And so it's one thing that just in that play, it made me think of it. And I don't blame them for that play in particular, but it's something I was thinking about while watching. I go, why is that such a popular thing with certain teams? I don't get it.
You know what I don't get, though? I mean, listen, credit to the Chiefs. They won the game. Cincinnati had a chance to win the game, and they blew it.
Right.
But watching that game, as we all did, do you not feel that the referees played a huge impact in that game?
There.
That it was 3 teams and it was a 2-on-1?
No, I'm not going to say.
I thought they were poor on both sides.
Yes, that was what I was going to say. I think they played a part, but I don't think that they. And I'm not saying that you're arguing this, but a lot of people online are, and in the media are saying, "Oh, well, the Bengals lost because the refs sucked." It's like, well, no, both teams had to suffer.
Was really bad.
I think, John, what you just said is really the best way to put it. And JB, I'm not saying that's what you were saying. I just wanted to make sure my point was made clear. The officiating sucked on all ends of that game.
I am not saying that by any means.
No, I don't think you are. Listen, but I wanted to make sure that my point came across.
Osai's penalty was uncalled for. He will unfortunately live the rest of his life regretting.
And it was a bad call on his part.
And that's not his fault. It's not his fault.
It's a football play, and it's a tough play.
Yeah.
You're in the moment.
Going full.
But
I agree.
It's like Bill Buckner. Bill Buckner was a great defensive first baseman, but the ball went through his legs because it just happened.
Took a weird hop. Yeah.
And look, Osai is going to get called for that penalty, and I don't agree with the fact that is a penalty, which I think we all agree upon. But what I will say is, I think knowing the rules, there has to be some kind of awareness. And I get it. Again, I don't think it should be a penalty, so I understand all the comments that have been made and all the opinions that are out there that you two probably would share with me that shouldn't be a penalty in the first place because you just said it, JB. It's a football play. Like what? He's going full force. There's only so much you can do. But I think at the same time,
he didn't.
No, but I think to play the other side, you've got to be somewhat aware of what's going on. I think that's
so
the
I
only
actually
thing
watched that play.
Yeah.
And Osai didn't actually hit him. So what? And
He
it was
poked him.
dumb for Osai to even put his hands on him. But when he put his hands on him, it looked to me more like, hey, like my momentum's carrying me this way. I'm trying to like stop myself
from hurting him or myself.
I'm trying to stop myself because I'm going full speed. And he ended up going into the bench, but it looked like he was almost kind of like trying to catch himself. And if you watch the play, because I watched it on Twitter today, their feet, the reason Mahomes went down was their feet got tangled up and his foot went in front of Mahomes. And it's like when a receiver and a cornerback's feet's incidental contact.
And you know what?
It's a tough play.
That's exactly what happened. And their feet got tangled. Mahomes went rolling.
What you just said, hold on, that incidental contact, I would say 7 or 8 times out of 10 is called pass interference regardless, which is getting to the root of a bigger problem, which
so let me ask you this.
That the penalty calling is usually screwed up, and
I know things
but there were two bigger problems. But go ahead, John.
Yeah, I know things are getting changed because I follow a lot of Miami Dolphins reporters, and they talked about how there are going to be changes to some rules. So clearly, something's getting changed.
John, hang on one second. That's because they have plenty of time to cover that because the Dolphins haven't played in a while. But go ahead.
So what I think is situations like this on penalties like that, I think they should be able to go back when it's vital. When it's not challenge, but the referees look at a crucial call. Like a call like that, if the referees could go back, kind of like you do, not every play, but it's under 2 minutes. It's a pivotal play. It's going to change the game. You go back and look at it, and you make sure you got it right.
I would be more than okay with that. I'm in support
of it. It can't be every play, but a play of that magnitude.
I think challenges should be allowed on that as well. If it's a questionable play that could really change the game, it shouldn't just be like, oh, they have to choose to review it. I think challenges should be allowed. Now, there should be stipulations maybe, but
give them like a challenge or two on penalties.
That would be okay.
Speaking of challenges, now I believe it was Valdez-Scantling that got the catch that originally was ruled short of the first down.
And he reached
that the Chiefs challenged.
It was a hell of a catch in play. Yeah.
And according to the NFL rules, should not have been a first down. If you come back of your own volition, you lose your forward progress. He brought the ball back from the first down marker, so he should not have got the first down. Yes, watch the replay.
But when we see the goal line, when you go over the goal line and then come back, it's a touchdown.
That's the goal line. Once you pass the goal line, the play's dead.
Okay.
On the field of play, though, if you're going forward and then you decide to run back, you lose your forward progress once you start running backward.
Correct.
So technically, he brought the ball back, so he should have lost his forward progress. Bad call number one.
Yeah, that's a good point.
Second bad call was the 3rd and 9 redo. Now, yes.
Oh God, that play was such a disgrace.
So they did blow the whistle dead. CBS did a great job of finding the shot with the referee.
You could see the ref coming into the back a little bit.
Yes, they did a great job of finding that because if they didn't find that footage, there would have been outrage.
But the play did happen.
Right,
the play happened. And I get that it was blow dead, so you got to replay it.
To me, that was a disgusting play.
There's no way in my
opinion. And I before we move on from that, because I know, JB, you have another point, so I want to interject really quickly and just say that play should have counted in my mind, actually.
Yep.
Because when I looked at the play itself, and I don't know if you guys would agree or not, I don't think a single player on that field had a clue that play was being called dead. And so as far as I'm concerned, there's plays sometimes where the refs call it dead, and some guys know and some guys don't. So some guys kind of quit on the play. That should be replayed. That's okay if guys actively do not give effort.
But nobody knew.
But nobody knew. They played it out like they should have, like the play was going on. So to me, that's number one, that it shouldn't have played out. Or number two, the ref shouldn't have just stopped running. He should have gone full force right towards the ball and
blowing the whistle.
Because if the ref is in the middle of the field and going like this,
everybody's going to stop.
Exactly.
Yep.
So it to me was a lazy effort. So either way, the scenario that we did see happen should not have happened.
And you can't tell me the other refs didn't see him running on the field.
I agree.
If they saw him running on the field, why didn't they do anything?
God
knows. Because
knows.
nobody else reacted.
It was horrible. Like I mean, don't get me wrong. The Bengals still lost. They had a chance to win the game.
I agree.
That's why I'm not sitting here saying the Chiefs did it when the Chiefs won, because they did what they needed to do. But at the Bengals same lost. Time, it was like a 2-on-1 in certain situations.
In certain situations, absolutely.
And it left a bad taste in my mouth for probably one of the best games of the playoffs.
Absolutely.
And
had potential to be even better without
the play that Mahomes got hit out of bounds. That play, I mean, I know you guys probably saw it too. Like the replay of Hendrickson getting basically chokehold. Like,
John,
an arm around his neck.
I was hoping you wouldn't say that though.
But like, how can
I
you
have
not
a disagreement. Okay.
Because we've seen over and over in the playoffs, like when guys get anywhere close to the neck on the offensive line.
So
they call
John, to that point, yes, that is a penalty, but I think a fair statement to make, which I'm sure you probably would agree, if I went through every single snap of a game in slow motion and watched all the offensive versus defensive lineman matchups, I'd find a lot of penalties that were missed.
Right.
So while I don't agree that was a penalty, I think it's unfair to say, oh, well, that should have been called, because the truth is, well, that's egregious. I guarantee you there were like 5 more
I'm saying,
that were just as egregious
that was
if you slow it down.
Same play as the Mahomes thing.
I know, but I'm just saying that there's a lot of egregious kinds of things like that probably get missed strictly because if you slow it down, you can find anything.
I'm just going to JB's point, basically.
No, I understand. I was going to make a comment on that particular play anyway, about the fact that if you slow down offensive line versus defensive line matchups, you're going to find a lot of penalties.
And by the way,
and that's really important.
By the way, like anybody blaming Osai, if the Bengals didn't put themselves in that position anyway,
you're right.
You were down 13-3. It took a miracle Patrick Mahomes dropping that ball to get you back in the game, because they were driving.
Not only that, why are you punting to the middle of the field?
I don't know.
Punting to the sideline.
Why are you punting to a fast guy like that?
Why would you give them a chance to get any return on that play? You're setting yourself up for failure.
I agree.
Great season by the Bengals. I think the referees were awful. I don't blame the referees. The Chiefs won the game. The Bengals had the ball. I think it was 56 seconds. That's when you got to win the game. It's a shame that everything that happened with the referees, because it shows you the horrible state the NFL officiating is in.
And
can't argue with that.
And the Bengals could have settled for overtime, because the Chiefs had 2 timeouts and it's 56 seconds. You could have ran the ball twice, burned their timeouts, and just settled for overtime. You didn't have to give Patrick Mahomes a potential chance to get the ball back, and you went for the win by trying to pass the ball. You got sacked, got the penalty.
And what's ironic, John?
And
this playoffs, now we can have overtime where both teams are guaranteed to get possession. And now they don't go for overtime. Why is this the one time where it makes sense to do that? Like, where we actually get what we want, which is, hey, a coin flip doesn't decide the game potentially anymore. Where that issue is no longer that. Why didn't it's one of those?
I wanted to see it.
I know, but I just don't understand. It's like, man, you guys would have gone to overtime, and it's not like, oh, Patrick gets the ball, we're screwed now. It's like, no, you are going to have your chance no matter what he does.
And to quote Colin Cowherd, who's one of my favorite,
I love him.
Broadcasters.
Oh, I hate it.
Well, you're just disgusting.
If the NFL was rigged, why wouldn't Dallas get to Super Bowls?
You're right.
Why wouldn't the Giants and Jets be really good?
Why wouldn't the Steelers get to more Super Bowls? Because of the pedigree as an organization.
They have a huge fan base.
I don't think the NFL is rigged. I don't think
so either. I mean, that's the easy answer.
I think there's
gambling,
a lot of.
I think gambling has a hand
maybe
in the pot.
I think the officials maybe have a hand in the pot with gambling.
But that's not the NFL. I don't think the NFL's rigging it. I think gambling may have their hand in somewhere.
The officials are an extension of the NFL. And if, God forbid, what happened in the NBA, like Tim Donahue.
Oh, God.
God.
It will destroy the gambling industry. It'll be the worst thing in the world.
We don't want.
I don't think it'll happen. But
I don't think that's what happened. I think it was legitimate. I hate to say that because the referees were god awful.
They've been terrible this whole playoffs.
They were, and they will continue to be probably.
They have to go to full-time officiating. They have to
Yes.
practice during the week like the players. They have
They
to
shouldn't
watch
be able to do
film.
other things in their off time. It's
Right. They have to
It should
watch
it should be a
film.
year-round thing.
I
Like
believe
players
they
have,
only got 5,000 each for a playoff game. I think that's
don't
what they
know.
get for a playoff
they,
game.
they
you
do
know,
refing
and-
because the truth is these guys that are refs don't do it for the money. They do it because it's what they enjoy.
But if
And
you're
that's
going to
the
do
problem.
something like that, you want to get paid.
No, but my
Right.
point is they're not doing it because they need the money, because whatever, like most of these guys are lawyers or actually no, mostly lawyers because they make a lot of money as a lawyer. So they just do this.
Most of them are blind.
It's an extra paycheck to them.
And think about it. Players have to watch how many countless hours of film so that they don't make mistakes during a play.
Yeah, and
Well,
how much
maybe
film?
referees-
How much film do these refs watch?
Maybe it's time they start watching film
And they
so they
should
can
hold
understand
accountable,
what's
too.
happening.
They should hold the
You
refs
know,
accountable too.
Like the NBA has the 2-minute report, the NFL
Look.
should have the full game report.
Yes,
Listen,
I'm gonna
referee did this.
leave it on this
Yeah.
note for me about referees. Players have to answer to the media, and they have press conferences. I think refs, because especially in the NFL, they're particularly egregious. They should also have to answer to the media, because there's a lot of questions we have for these refs, and I truly would love to hear what they had to say and try to have to explain themselves because of games like this last weekend where they were just god awful. I would love that.
Speaking of people, I'm tired of them at their jobs because they have become bad at it.
Okay.
Tony Romo has really, from what he started as,
All right,
has fallen off a cliff.
John, give me 2 seconds because I want to say something, and I don't want to forget this joke. Kids at home, close your ears, please. John, make sure your kids are not in any bit of range to hear, because Tony Romo is basically continually on his knees and Patrick Mahomes is in front of him. I'm not going to say anything else, but that's the truth. It is disgusting how much he loves.
Stop 1 second. Why am I seeing praise for Greg Olson? He is the worst announcer.
You don't like Greg Olson?
I can't stand Greg Olson.
I love Greg Olson.
Better than Tony Romo.
I would rather listen to anything else.
I'm over the Romo experiment.
Here's the good news.
I'm done with it. I'm done.
Here's the good news. I think we all agree that Joe Buck is the worst.
No, I don't. I think Joe Buck is fantastic.
John, why do you ruin these things? JB, I know you don't like him.
He's great at baseball. I mean, when he would call the World Series games, he was really good.
He's so awful.
I think he's tremendous.
Joe Buck is so boring.
Him and Aikman are really good together.
No, Aikman is great.
Yeah, I like
but
them together.
Back to your Tony Romo complaints, because I agree.
I'm done with the Romo experiment. Like, at first I was like, okay,
I'd rather Romo than Olson.
But on
about
CBS,
that.
because that's the games that I get. I get to watch the CBS games, and I always get the Romo game. Like,
I'm sorry for
I'm
you.
tired of it. Like, he just rambles on, and it's like he doesn't even know what he's saying half the time. And like Jake said, if it's Mahomes or Allen or somebody like that,
he's in love with them.
Loves them and is so biased. And it's
look, I love them too, but
Nance
I don't talk about them all the
fantastic.
time.
And Romo just talks so fast. He doesn't even know what he's saying.
I think we can all agree on one thing, hopefully. The best duo for football, in my opinion, is Chris Collinsworth and Mike Tirico, and I don't think there's a better combination of football announcers. I think they are perfect together. They balance each other out just right. Neither of them annoys me with things they say. I think they're great.
Chris were perfect together, but
yeah, absolutely. I'm just saying. And I would say that Allen and Kirk Herbstreit are a great combination as well. They're also great. I like listening to them because
that's like
they don't
watching
annoy
paint
me.
dry. Because Kirk is a college guy.
But he's a great
NFL,
announcer. He's a great announcer along with Al Michaels. He does a very good job when he speaks. And again, they're
The only thing I don't
unbiased.
like about
They're
Kirk,
good journalists. I appreciate what they do.
The only thing I don't like about Kirk is that he always somehow, and you watch an Amazon game next year.
I'd rather
he
not.
always refers back to he pulls it back to college every single time, and I'm like, oh my gosh, this isn't college football. You don't need to refer to where
that's his realm.
Jalen Hurts.
I get your point.
You don't need to talk about college football. This is the NFL.
Yes, understood.
I want to transition to Jalen Hurts.
Okay.
So for everybody, all of you people, this is coming from a Giant fan. You see, this is Giant jersey on right now.
Shocky.
for all you Eagle fans that had the nerve to disrespect Jalen Hurts over the last year and a half, that, oh, we're not going to win with him. He's not good. He can't lead the offense. Let's go get somebody else. Can you shut up now? Can you be happy? Because you know what? Send him up the Jersey Turnpike. I will take him in a second. I would have taken him a year ago in a second.
I agree.
If you don't like Jalen Hurts as your quarterback, that
him.
man is a leader. He's a winner. He can deal with adversity. He got set in the college football championship game for a guy named Tua Tagovailoa.
Hey,
And-
don't you disrespect my quarterback.
Did you really just say
Hey.
his name worse than everybody
Don't
else?
you disrespect my
Yes.
quarterback.
And he decided to go
JT,
to
are you
another
there?
school and win a Heisman. So, you know what? You know what? Don't disrespect the man.
You
The guy got you to the
JB,
Super
I think
Bowl.
you mispronounced his last name. I think you mean Tua
You, sir, are out of
Tagovailoa.
order.
Tua Tagovailoa, because that's how everybody says it. So it must be right. Am
There's
I right?
no N.
Sorry.
Wrong.
John, I know
it's
that.
Tagliavoa.
I cannot stand how people say his name. It is such an easy last name if you
It
listen to
is.
it once. It's really not hard.
Once you learn it, it's
Once you act like I know JB's making jokes and it is funny, but like to say his last name is really not that hard. It just looks complicated. But everyone's like Tagovailoa. I go, there's no UNG. It's TAG last time I checked. Tag TAG.
like the people that
This
say
is not hard.
lasagna. You know, it's
It's-
lasagna.
It's like people that
silent.
it's like it's James. Sorry if you're still watching because you're a Philly guy. It's like Philly people that say water. There's no water. WATER, not WU or WI or WE, whatever you're making that sound. Just say it right.
That's
like the only thing
some
I'll
people
ever
also
agree with
say
John
crick
about Tua.
instead of creek, and it drives me nuts.
Oh God.
But anyway,
Anyway, speaking of Jalen Hurts, though, I do want to talk about that game because,
because we haven't talked about it.
unfortunately,
There's not really much to talk about. The
no.
game was
But I
over
want
after the
to.
first
I just want to
possession.
say to all Eagles fans who are like riding the praise that we're going to be the greatest team, that, we're going to win. Slow your horses. This weekend will be the true test, I believe.
Well,
as
they
to
don't
how
play
good-
this weekend.
Well, I'm talking about their next coming game. You know what I mean? I'm saying like
This
their next
weekend,
game.
John. This weekend.
The Pro Bowl games. When Tyler Huntley starts the Pro Bowl.
Oh God! But when they play the Chiefs, it'll be their best test, in my opinion, because this playoffs has been, to no fault of their own, a cakewalk in terms of certain aspects. The Giants were just a rebuilding franchise, and look, I give credit to the Eagles; they played well, and there's no denying that they did. This weekend, they were playing a third-string quarterback in Brock Purdy. He gets hurt. Now he's going to be out for like 6 months with a UCL injury. And you put in Josh Johnson. Again, you beat him. I'm not impressed by that. Again, not that they didn't play well, but there's just like the
It
offense
was
they
an
played
NFC
against.
championship that wasn't an NFC championship.
Right. So when they
it was
play
just
the Chiefs,
unfortunate.
when they play the Chiefs, we will know how great this team has been or has not been. And again, it's not to say that they're not good. This is not meant to be a way to say, I'm not respecting them or I think they're bad. I think offensively they're phenomenal. I know defensively they're phenomenal.
Oh,
There's a lot of things that they do really well. But when they
Listen.
play the Chiefs, that is going to be a test where I can say,
And-
okay, I know the realistic expectations to have for this team moving forward as onto next season and beyond, because that is a real test. Other teams have not been.
The Eagles are my Matthew Stafford this year. I picked the Giants. I picked the Giants to play a close game against them. I didn't think the Giants were going to win. Don't get crazy now. Yes, I'm wearing the Giants jersey. I wasn't expecting to beat Philly. I expected San Francisco to go there and beat Philly. We all saw what happened. So
Things didn't go right
got-
for
you
San
guys-
Fran, obviously.
remember what happened to Matthew Stafford last year. So that's all I'm going to say.
He won. What do you mean?
So if you're a Philly right now, you got to be riding high. You got to hope that
Okay.
I'm saying Chiefs all the way.
And by the way, Chris Jones, oh my gosh, that guy's an absolute monster.
John, speaking of, did you know this game was his first time getting sacks in the playoffs?
In his career, yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
Ever. Unbelievable.
It's
Unbelievable.
nuts.
For a guy so talented and so just physically
Dominating,
dominating. For him to finally get
They
his
just
first
played.
sacks, I was like, wait, that can't be
This
right. Like,
is like
do they mean
five-
like his first sacks like this
This is his
postseason.
5th postseason.
But that's what I'm saying. Like, to find out this was
Yeah.
his first, I was like, wow.
It's crazy.
He takes games over. We know that. But for this to be the first 2 sacks, I was like, that is simultaneously amazing and sad all at once.
Listen,
but
I was in shock.
I was
I
very
was in
happy for
shock
him.
quickly.
I'm very happy for him. Trust me. But yeah, anyway, back to the Eagles. Look, I think it's going to be a good Super Bowl. I'm very much looking forward to it. We'll make our predictions next week. I'm not giving my prediction away yet. But I just continue to say that, you know, they've had a Mickey Mouse schedule in terms of the playoffs, and it's no fault of their own. No, you can't blame them. You can't say, like, oh, well, the Eagles should have.
What's the lie, Jake? What's the lie?
You can only
what?
play
The
who's in
Super
front of you.
Oh, yes. That, okay. You can only play who's
It's
on
not
your
their
schedule.
fault.
I know that.
It's not
Hey,
their
I'm not
fault.
blaming
Not
them.
like
I'm
they
not,
said, hey, Goodell, let's, let's play the rebuilding Giants, and then let's play
again,
third string Niners.
I'm not
and hurt
taking.
the
I am
quarterback.
not taking anything away from them and saying it's their fault or anything like. I'm just making the comment that I think when they play the Chiefs, we'll get a better sense of how good this team has been all season, because it's just like the Cowboys. The Cowboys got their butts whooped by a team that wasn't complete garbage. Okay, the Cowboys are a great regular season team. They're terrible in the playoffs. The Eagles, we'll find out when they play the Chiefs. That's my thing. I think they're a very good team, and I do think that they probably are the team that deserves to be in the Super Bowl from the NFC based on the way things played out this season. But we'll find out when they play the Chiefs, because I don't know. I don't know until that point really what they were. Just for my money, because I don't think they played really any great competition this year.
Listen, we only have a few minutes left. I got to ask this question. It's been
Yep.
kind of weird the last few years in sports.
Okay.
When cities win, they don't just win one championship or get to one
Yeah.
finals. They get to multiple. And it's over year after year after year lately.
Sure.
Is that like a weird phenomenon? Because I don't ever remember that happening.
No.
I can't explain it when that happens, and I know what you're talking about. And
Do you mean
some-
like
it's
across
just not-
multiple sports? Like
across
Yeah.
multiple sports.
Okay.
Yeah.
Look,
Yeah,
like
I don't
the
know.
Eagles
It's like if the
and
Yankees win,
Phillies.
then you see like the Giants win and stuff like that.
and the Rangers,
and the
I got you.
Rangers.
Yeah,
And it's just
I don't
it's
know.
been over the last few years consistently.
I
where,
have
like,
noticed
you know,
that.
teams have gotten, like Tampa a couple of years ago.
Phillies
You
are in
know.
they were just in the World
Yeah.
Series.
And
Eagles
Phillies
are in
out- The Rams and Dodgers last year,
Sure.
or 2 years ago. It's like it's been kind of weird. It's just
Well,
an odd
it.
phenomenon.
Had the Braves and you had Georgia Bulldogs. You had
Yeah,
those two in
yeah.
Georgia.
Georgia won again this year. Yeah.
And they won again this year. Yeah.
So
I didn't
it's
even
weird.
notice
It's
that.
kind of
That's
weird.
You
that's one of
never
those
paid
things-
attention to that, Jake?
No.
I always
It-
pay
it's just-
attention to that. Like whenever it's
'Cause
like
it doesn't usually happen.
It's like
And
a
been, like,
theme.
a few years.
I never
It's been a few
noticed
years
that.
in a
Like I
row.
don't. I pay attention to my
'Cause-
teams, like in terms of like, oh, like how often are my teams making it wherever? I'm not like, oh, how often is this team? I'm not thinking
because I
about
think
that.
about
It's
that. I'm
just-
like when the Lightning were getting there, I'm like, man, are the Rays gonna get there too? And then the Rays
Well,
got there. And I'm
didn't-
like, that's
didn't-
really strange.
didn't the Bucks and
And the Bucks, yeah,
and the
Bucks a couple
Lightning
years ago,
and the
Lightning,
Rays all like in the same set of seasons win or make
Yeah.
it to the?
or make it, yeah.
Yeah,
yeah,
all
I
the same
mean-
year. It's
I
just
mean,
an odd
so-
thing that's
It's
been
a
happening.
strange coincidence.
Then let me ask you, what does that mean? So Philly has made it for baseball. Philly is making it for football, and it seems to come in 2s or 3s. So it doesn't mean there
Yeah.
has to be a
Always a
third.
guarantee, yeah.
But it seems
Not like
to
the
be
Flyers are going.
right. So
No.
does
gotta
that's what I'm
stop.
saying. So that's
Stop.
why I ask. Does this mean that we're going to see the 76ers in the finals? Like they,
Hell no.
no, I'm just asking
Don't you
because
give
if
Eric
any
that.
of those
Possibility.
teams,
Eric that.
if any of the teams in Philly that are left are going to make the playoffs and get into a
Yeah.
finals, it's going to be the 76ers. Not
Don't
the Flyers.
say that because Jacob is obsessed with Harden not getting to
I'm
not
just
winning a championship. Don't
no, I'm just
you
asking
know.
because I'm just
It's
curious.
just
like
odd
is-
how it's happened. That's all I
is-
can say. Because if it happened one year, it'd be one thing. But this is
Yeah.
going on about 3-4 years now.
Yep.
Yeah,
where
I don't know.
you just see
the
multiple
Chiefs,
teams. In
the
the
Chiefs
city.
are the outlier. Like
Well, there's
there's
nothing really in Kansas.
they're a team that's going to continue to
The
make
Royals.
it. but
If the Royals make the
Yeah,
World
right.
Series, man,
John, if the Royals make the
coming
World
back to
Series,
this conversation.
Hey, Bobby Witt Jr.
listen to me very carefully, everybody. if the Royals make the World Series, they don't have to win it. This season, they make the World Series, I will go do a naked mile, and I'm calling it now.
Please, I don't want the Royals to make it to the
So
World
Royals,
Series.
I'm sorry, Bobby Witt Jr., sorry you cannot get to the World
You
Series.
cannot. Absolutely cannot.
No.
This is like Empire State
sorry.
Building being green and white. Cannot do it.
No.
Look, that's the best way to
Start
guarantee it
playing.
does not happen now. See? It all works out. All right, gentlemen, about a minute left. Let's wrap things up. John, where can the people find you?
Yeah, Blue Hawks 13. Make sure you check us out all next week because we are at the Super Bowl
Busy
on
week.
Radio Row every day with professional athletes,
Special
Hall
guests,
of Famers,
lots of them.
special guests. Man, it's going to be amazing. Check us out the entire week. Amazing
Yes, sir.
content.
JB.
JB _ the program, here, there, everywhere, East Coast, West Coast, left coast, right coast. Jake?
You guys can find me on Twitter at Jake_Malik. As you can see, scrolling across the bottom of your screen, we got Instagram and Twitter is Sideline Sport 1. YouTube and Facebook is Sideline Sports. We're on DBTV, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Spotify, all those good places. On that note, everybody have a good one, and we'll see you next time.
Before we wrap, next week, check the schedule. We may not be regular, but we will be live 5 days. Make sure you're paying attention.
Okay. Everybody have a good one.